Hello, everyone. The NIBM's Gavel Club's Power of Dreams show is once again back live with its third episode. And today, we have yet another interesting personnel here with us. She is a Sri Lankan technology entrepreneur who focuses on making Sri Lankan technology products gain global brand recognition. She strives to bring the next wave of unicorns and Forbes ranked companies from countries such as Sri Lanka, which have a natural technology innovation talent that is not tapped to its fullest potential. She heads Iron One Technologies and Brand and Board Pack, which were both recognized as award winners for camaraderie and awarded as one of the top 25 places to work in Sri Lanka by 2020 by Great Place to Work Sri Lanka. Not only that, moreover, she has a wealth of experience in leading global competitive expansion in enterprise solutions. She has started out this engineering discipline with her education at Imperial College London. She has won many applauds behind her. Some recent wins were being selected prestigious, earnest, and young winning women overall winner of SARC Women Entrepreneur of the Year 2019 and Stevie International Business Awards, where she won four of the key awards in leadership innovation, followed by Women Leadership Awards, Asia's IT Excellence Award. Furthermore, she has a BSc in Electronic Engineering and Computer Science from University College London, UK, and MSc from Imperial College, University of London, UK. Her vision is to make BoardPack the number one global brand for board meetings and believes that a strong corporate culture is the key aspect to successful journey towards this vision. She is none other than Ma'am Lakmini Vijayasundara, co-founder and CEO of Iron Technologies and BoardPack. Ma'am, we welcome you to our show.
Thank you so much, Anidu. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to the next minutes of this interview. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And with that, we'll be moving on to the first question of the day. A successful life is gained if you dream. How did your childhood dream motivate and inspire who you are today?
So thanks, Chanidu. That's an interesting question because, when I look back at my childhood, it wasn't as if I suddenly was born or as a child I had this dream of what I'm doing now. I was certainly, I believe it's a series of inspirations and experiences all the way through to my, I would say even the late 20s that finally gave this outcome of me realizing this. So there's this saying by Steve Jobs in one of his interviews that you have to connect the dots backwards. You cannot connect it forward. I'm sure you all have heard of it. And in that sense, if I connect these dots backward, I sort of remember the main trait I had was curious. I was so curious about everything. I was known to break all the equipment at home. Parents weren't quite happy with that, but I had drawers full of things that I couldn't rebuild again after breaking. My main mission was to find out how they worked and hopefully, put them back. So, of course, I don't do it anymore, but that concept, I think of, finding out, knowing for yourself, not just accepting what norms say, so to say, was important, I guess, even now. And again, connecting the dots. There are several people who I would say inspired me in a sense or changed my mindset to what I am now. And one is my maternal uncle, actually, my mother's brother. Some of you who I'm sure that the students may not know this name, but maybe they know his product, Candos chocolates, and the Upali Mazdas, Upali Fiat. So that was my mother's brother, younger brother. And I was quite small when all this, his plane crashed. But I do remember that he broke all odds. He was known to be this Asian businessman. So in my mind, I kind of knew that Sri Lankans can do global things. We don't really need to be limited to this island mentality, so to say. My mother too was extremely open-minded. She was a housewife, as they call it, but she was an entrepreneur. She had she would do so many things, but there was this particular area of handloom, had machines and the whole thing. I remember as a child seeing that she used to export to Scandinavian countries with these new designs. So I saw that as well, and of course my parents gave me the freedom to choose whatever I wanted. I mean, I wasn't expected to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is. I'm sure they might have liked it, in the good old days, but I decided computer. I don't think they knew what computers were at that time, but they allowed me to follow my passion. So I thought it was. I love computers. In those days, the school had a few computers. I was probably the only one who even touched those without being forced to. And I studied computer science and engineering, as you mentioned, came back. I still, you talk about childhood inspiration. I still didn't know what I wanted. I knew it. I wanted to do something big. And I'm sure all of you, who are studying, want to make some impact in the world, in your life, but you can't find it yet, so to say. So I met a lot of people, and I was working at Lanka Bell at the time, and got this opportunity to go to Boston. At the time, there was this dot-com boost. I'm sure if you Google, you'll get to know it. It's some years ago, and the dot-com boost actually meant in the US, people were throwing like millions of dollars to university kids. They were leaving colleges. It was crazy. I went there, and I still remember I went to a McDonald's to have a snack, and there were no young people. And I asked my colleague, like, how come there are like older people working in McDonald's? They said, there are no kids. Everybody is doing a startup. I came back immediately, literally in 6 months, I left my job at Lanka Bell and started. I found my North Star, so to say, and that's really how I started. It was a aha moment, let's say. And I realized that, the world, the globe is having all this software startup things going on, completely inspired. And literally, if I connect the dots backwards, all of this from my uncle to my mother to my computer degree to these US customers who I met, everything became what I am, as Steve Jobs sort of said. And I guess passion found me, and there's no turning back, Janvi. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am, it totally did. And I could totally relate to your story, ma'am, because sometimes dreams do not come like in an exact moment. It takes time. And sometimes you're inspired by people, like you said, ma'am. It's totally true. And with that, let's move on to the second question. Today, you're a successful entrepreneur. So share with us the journey of how you got there.
Sure, Janido. So I said part of it, but let me delve into it. So I studied engineering, computer, that kind of thing, and I stumbled across software. Software wasn't what I studied, and as I mentioned, I immediately knew I loved it. I was in an IT management post in Lanka Bell at the time. In my 20s, and I wanted to do something, but I had a lot of fear because I wasn't a finance person. I wasn't, I didn't know business, so to say. And I felt I had a lot of doubt, thinking, is this the right time? Should I learn a little more? That kind of thing. Like I said, I spoke to a lot of people, and through that, I got this opportunity, the Boston opportunity that I spoke about. So I started in actually in my parents' garage. About six of us, we started, a technical team and me. Nobody was, finance oriented. We did a lot of outsourcing of the finance work and things like that. We grew to about 15. So if you're talking about my journey, it was like a up and an immediate down, because that dot-com thing that I talked about, within maybe 12 months, US crashed. So obviously, they were throwing money at millions at these startups. They were not giving the revenue back, and it just crashed. And the contracts went away. So I had my biggest failure right as I started with, 15 people around, to pay salaries, to pay the expenses. I really didn't want to fail, right? You start this thing, it's a personal matter. I even remember sitting on the staircase, the bottom two staircase levels, and my mother came to me and said, like, what's going on? And she was extremely supportive. She actually gave me some money to bridge a little, but, salaries are expensive of IT people. It wasn't really going to help. But so that was one of my failures. And certainly, Janido, many failures happened. You mentioned the success I'm having now, it wasn't a straight line. So if I talk about some of the things, so I didn't want to fail, I didn't want to go back and work. So a few of us stayed in the company, the others, left, and we pivoted. So one of the pivoted companies or the businesses that we started is ATRAD, which is a stock trading product for Sri Lanka. It's got 70% of the market share now. And what we did for Boston was also stock trading, portfolio management. So with that knowledge, we started this. So that, of course, took a long time to become successful, but we continued, we strived.
Yes, ma'am.
And of course, my journey was mostly we funded ourselves. We took loans, we put our own capital, but really something that I'd like to tell or advise the people now, the students now who'd like to start up or started up, is you all have an ecosystem now. We didn't have that then. There's over 400 startups. There's a lot of meetups. You have to get into it. Some of the known names to mention is the ICTA, Spiralation Grants, LAN, that is Lanka Angel Network, Disrupt Asia, so many, Hatch, John Keel's, just Google accelerators and things like that. In Sri Lanka, you'll find it. And, there is a lot of money. And unlike when we started, there's a lot of money out there. If you have an idea, y'all can do it. So your journeys can be a lot faster than what we went through. And so this, I won't go into all the details because maybe we can talk about it later, but essentially the journey was having a lot of ups and downs. And subsequently BoardPack came about, and that, again, it wasn't easy. We had to strive a lot, and I'll talk about those things later, the struggles and things. But eventually, because we stuck on and we went through, with that determination, we've succeeded. And if you want to know how we started both of those products, if you take ATRAD, it was simply a Capital Trust, which is a broker firm. At that time, there was no online as such. They came and asked us, can we do an online system? And with our knowledge, immediately we went and showed them and got that stuff done. Therefore, we started that product. BoardPack, on the other hand, similarly, we were working in the industry, and Nations Trust Bank, the board, the chairman actually had wanted an iPad-based application for his board. So it was as simple as that, Jandu. it wasn't some marvelous aha, eureka thing. We were working and working so hard. So these things came to us, these requirements, and we stuck on taking it to the world. So I hope that kind of answers the journey.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it totally did. And you mentioned about challenges, ma'am, the challenges you had to face. And I totally agree because sometimes when you go to like, when you have a dream and when you need to succeed, there might be difficulties along the way, as you said, and you will have to face them in order to succeed. So, but ultimately, ma'am, you were able to, and that is just amazing. I myself felt motivated by it. Thank you so much.
Right. Yeah.
The next question I have, ma'am, is a quite interesting one. Technology has become a dominant part of our lives today. According to your point of view, ma'am, how would you like to describe its importance to the world and to the future?
So that's quite interesting because really, I mean, technology, as you mentioned, nobody can actually live a life without technology. It's in everything we do. It's not just at work. It's from entertainment to food, and now with the COVID, because we cannot communicate in our normal ways, even that's taken over by technology. So this actually, from a startup or a entrepreneur angle, it provides, a very unique situation as well. Because if you take the past, the various trends, there were companies servicing people for various things in technology, but suddenly, uh, I mean, a huge population, and statistically, we've been told like a massive population has started to adopt technology now. That would be like older people, traditional, paper-based people who probably never wanted to touch even a phone. Lots of phone usage and that smartphone usage. Internet, capacities have gone up. Telco companies are giving internet at lower packages so that more people can use it. So the whole thing has exploded. So if I mean, you can talk about technology in many aspects, but if you talk about it from the eyes of a startup or an entrepreneur, suddenly you can invent things that nobody had a chance to invent before, because it's only 2020, around March, that people even realized, you're really talking about like 1.5 years is the time span that everybody in the world had, whether you're in the US, in Sri Lanka, or in Africa, or wherever it is. It's not, nobody had 100 years with this. So imagine like you're in the same, uh, what should I call it? Equalized, let's say. We are all
Yes,
equalized,
ma'am.
right? And nobody had an edge just because somebody had like 5 years of technology experience. They didn't get a chance. So I really would recommend us to come out with useful technology platforms. Simpler is fine, because simpler it is, the success can be higher. Um, and so my view on that technology piece is, along with COVID, especially, it,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, it's a brilliant space. So I really hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It really did. My next question is, ma'am, how important is teamwork in order to build the road to success? Because it is obvious that no matter how hard we try alone, we might need a team to succeed. What are your thoughts on this, ma'am?
Absolutely. So, really speaking, I mean, I also learned these two terms and the difference. So, invention is something that you can invent something. Nobody needs to use it even. And an innovation, the term is different to invention because it has to be used by people, and it has to be something that many, at least one or many people use. So, to have some innovation, maybe you can start on your own, do something little. But as you mentioned, if you're talking about a company that is going to service multiple um, customers, we have to have finance, very important to have sales, marketing, of course, production like the technology and the strategy. So, when I started years ago, like I mentioned in the garage, I did all the finance and operations, despite me not having any experience, even writing these paychecks and EPFs and all that. So you can imagine, so the technical team always was there. So they were building, I handled everything else. But we were organic as well, right? So coming to that, you all have to go with seed capital, get the right people, get the team. And
Yes,
as a leader, and as a leader, really, if you can identify and hire well and get your team and sort of inspire them on this goal that initially nobody will see, not even your own partners, right? And that's a real situation. Like if I take an example of BoardPack is a board meeting portal. Even my own business partners like question me like, Lucky, is that big enough? Is that too simple? But I had the vision that there was enough addressable market globally. You can't do it only in Sri Lanka and be successful because the market is small. So simple was good. It made us go global also. So you got to kind of believe in yourself and believe in this plan and be able to inspire the others, convince the others. But other than that, you don't need to know finance, or you don't need to, I believe, you don't need to even know technical. You need to get the right people in your team. So it's extremely
yes,
important. And because we were organic, we took a long time. And I must tell you, one of the biggest mistakes I did is I used to think if you have a great technology, it'll sell. Like, you put it out there. And I even at Lanka Bell, I never understood why it was so hard to sell, right? Because, sellers are talkers. And I thought that's just like no work, just like free stuff. Take a good product, it gets sold. But now we are selling, and we know that is extremely hard. Even the best product, it has to be the right time. The customer must want it, must want to pay for it. Simply, so many things have to come together, and it's tough. It's a discipline on its own. So yes, you must get your sales people, you must get your finance people. And when I say people, it can be just your friend, one person, focuses on it. And I mean, I'm just going to add a little twist to it. We're talking about the team, but please consider global. We're a small island. When you're starting your startups, it will help. Always keep an eye on any product or anything that can also work globally.
Thank you
I hope
so
that,
much. Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. And I too agree with your point. We have to know the proper people. Like, you have to get the proper team, the set of people who can do, and then that's the proper team. I totally agree with your point, ma'am. And we have to always go global. Then only we can dream big. Moving on, ma'am. How would you describe the importance of having passion in pursuing your dream? Because I can remember that ma'am mentioned passion in quite a lot of times.
So yes, so I guess passion is one of the key elements that is mandatory. I think if passion is not there, everything else is there. Still, I really don't think it's going to be successful. I've got a quote that Elon Musk had mentioned: when something is important enough, uh, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. And also, even Jeff Bezos and many of these great leaders, they've always mentioned how important passion is. So sometimes what happens is, if you feel that you haven't found it, if you haven't found what you're looking for, you have what they say is um, do not settle. For example, this is Jeff Bezos. One of the huge mistakes people do is that they force an interest on themselves. You don't choose passion. your passion chooses you. So in a sense, in my story, it took me time. I mean, like as I said, as a child, I didn't know. Even when I was at university, I didn't know. I started working, I still didn't know. It was forming, experiences. We always try to meet, the correct people. And then when it strikes, and passion is really important because a startup and setting up and growing a company or any initiative like that is extremely hard. And you think of quitting many times because it gets too hard. And it's because it's your passion. It's your passion that tells you, I mean, you can't quit. This is what you love, right? So I've got another quote actually. This is from Steve Jobs. It says the only way you will be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it, keep looking. Don't settle. So this is kind of what I was saying. It's important because some people actually in their 30s they find it. Some people actually work like a lifetime, and sometimes they quit their job, and at 40s they start their passion. Sometimes your passion is your hobby. I don't know what it could be. In my case, it was like this technology-based software related. So it's an interesting thing. So it everybody has a passion. So
Yes,
I guess
ma'am.
again, I'd like to say, do not settle. If you haven't found it, keep looking, talk to people, you will find it.
Yes, ma'am. It is passion what drives us whenever we are having our dream. True, dream gives us the hope to success, but
Yes.
passion gives you the energy no matter what, whether it's challenges or whether it's troubles. Passion would remind you to stay on to your target. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was quite inspirational, even for me, and I totally agree with your point. Now we have come to the last question of the day. The whole world is being struck by a pandemic, causing a major pause for certain careers and fields. And we are being made to adapt to the new normal. What kind of a motivational message would you like to give to the audience, ma'am, to let them know to keep them going?
Yes, Shanidu. So I guess, I mean, we've been taught theoretically that change is the only constant. In our religions, they say it, this is like a universal law. But really, I think all of us got so comfortable with the world. The consulting firms predicted years of how everything would happen. People knew exactly what was going to happen. In our plans, we used to do annual or 5-year plans because things think that's how things work. But everything has come down to a month, a week. We really don't know what's going to happen next week, right? Or next month. Absolutely not, right? So it has basically made us realize that change is possible. And so many people, like I mentioned, changed. People would say I'll never touch a mobile. Technology is, not for me. They are happily using Zoom and everything. So it just uh, always there's the coin has two sides. So as much as all these negatives and fear and everything of change, um, there's opportunity. So I actually wanted to take a minute, and something I discovered is in the 1900s, uh, that century, unlike ours, uh, I mean, ours has just started, but it had so many, like it has the Spanish flu, which is like that, this pandemic, then it has the main wars, the wars that happened, so many tragedies and things like that. But that century, during that period, is the highest amount of innovations, from the motor car to the airplane to the actually internet, computer. I can go on. And so through I think it's through diversity that our minds start thinking. People think differently, people innovate because people are not stable and comfortable. And so I think this is an opportunity for all of us to put our minds. Us being Sri Lankans, I have a little anecdote also. So talking about the claims, I'm sure you've heard this, the Wright brothers versus Langley story. Maybe you have heard it in your business assignments.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
again, you don't need a lot of money. You need passion. Again, that story. So Sri Lankans, I'm sure they're very passionate people compared to other country people. And this is that chance, the equalized chance. So my message really is let's take it, right? I certainly am, and I really welcome all of you. And there's seed funding, so I want to tell you that. So look out and get involved in the ecosystem. Thanks, Janita.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that motivational message. I myself was motivated by your words, and I'm quite sure that the audience must have felt that too. Now, we have sadly come to the end of the show. Everyone, stay safe. I'm your host, Janudi, signing off. Thank you.